Hello and welcome to all Urban History Geeks. My name is Tobias Huhn and today we're going to dive right into the history of New York City in the 19th century. Okay, you know it, I know it. New York was not founded in the 19th century. It was founded in the 17th century as New Amsterdam, part of a Dutch colony. But everything that made New York the city we know it today began in the 19th century. So it's crucial to understand 19th century history of New York City, and due to that it's important to understand 19th century history of the United States. The 19th century was the century of westward expansion. New states came to the United States like Alaska or Texas. It was the century of the gold rush in California, industrialization and a massive growth in population, and it was the century of slavery and the Civil War. We can clearly see how all these things affected the development of New York when we have a closer look at the population statistics. In the year 1800, there were about 80,000 inhabitants living in New York. 50 years later, there were already 700,000 inhabitants in New York, and in the year 1900, at the end of the century, more than 3.5 million people lived in New York. Because of this massive population growth, the city needed a new infrastructure. And so in 1811, the so-called Commissioner's Plan decided to divide the island of Manhattan into more than 2,000 blocks separated by grid-shaped streets. And the result of that we can see until this day. In 1835, New York surpassed Philadelphia as the largest city in the United States, and with all of this population, it was clear that there had to be some social conflicts sooner or later. In the slums where the poor lived, there were epidemics. In 1837, there was a huge financial crisis which affected the poor by unemployment, and it resulted in riots. Also in the year 1863, there were a lot of riots, the so-called draft riots. The poor white working class people were very angry because they have been drafted for military service in the Civil War, but for a sum of $300 it was possible to pay something like a ransom for oneself release of civil service. Another reason for the riots were that white people were afraid of losing their jobs if black people would get more rights. Nonetheless, in the 19th century, New York boomed, not only financially but also culturally. Central Park was opened. France dedicated the Statue of Liberty to the people of America and New York, and in 1851 the New York Times was founded, which is today the most important newspaper of the USA, just like New York is the most important city of the USA. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about urban history, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you soon!